Book of Genesis. God said, "Let the water teem with an abundance of living creatures, and on the earth let birds fly beneath the dome of the sky." And so it happened. God created the great sea monsters and all kinds of swimming creatures with which the water teems, and all kinds of winged birds. God saw how good it was, and God blessed them, saying, "Be fertile and multiply, and fill the water of the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth." Evening came, and morning followed, the fifth day. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth all kinds of living creatures, cattle, creeping things, and wild animals of all kinds." And so it happened. God made all kinds of wild animals, all kinds of cattle, and all kinds of creeping things of the earth. God saw how good it was. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and the cattle, and over all the wild animals and all the creatures that crawl on the ground." God created man in his image. In the divine image he created him. Male and female he created them. God blessed them, saying, "Be fertile and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and all the living things that move on earth." God also said, "See, I give you every seed-bearing plant all over the earth, and every tree that has seed-bearing fruit on it to be your food. And to all the animals of the land, all the birds of the air, and all the living creatures that crawl on the ground, I give all the green plants for food." And so it happened. God looked at everything he had made and found it very good. Evening came and morning followed, the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth and all their array were completed. Since on the seventh day God was finished with the work he had been doing, he rested on the seventh day from all the work he had undertaken. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work he had done in creation. Such is the story of the heavens and the earth at their creation. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The responsorial psalm, "O Lord our God, how wonderful your name in all the earth."
O Lord our God, how wonderful your name in all the earth.
When I behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you set in place, what is man that you should be mindful of him, or the son of man that you should care for him?
O Lord our God, how wonderful your name in all the earth.
You have made him little less than the angels and crowned him with glory and honor. You have given him rule over the works of your hands, putting all things under his feet.
O Lord our God, how wonderful your name in all the earth.
All sheep and oxen, yes, and the beast of the field, the birds of the air, the fishes of the sea, and whatever swims the path of the seas.
O Lord our God, how wonderful your name. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Mark. When the Pharisees, with some scribes who had come from Jerusalem, gathered round Jesus, they observed that some of his disciples ate their meals with unclean, that is, unwashed hands. For the Pharisees, and in fact all Jews, do not eat without carefully washing their hands, keeping the tradition of the elders. And on coming from the marketplace, they do not eat anything without purifying themselves. And there are many other things that they have traditionally observed: purification of cups and jugs and kettles and beds. So the Pharisees and the scribes questioned him. "Why do your disciples not follow the tradition of the elders, but instead eat a meal with unclean hands?" He responded, "Well did Isaiah prophesy about you hypocrites. As it is written, 'This people honors me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching as doctrines human precepts. You disregard God's commandment, but cling to human tradition.'" He went on to say, "How well you have set aside the commandment of God in order to uphold your tradition. For Moses said, 'Honor your father and your mother,' and 'Whoever curses father or mother shall die.' Yet you say, if someone says to father or mother, any support you might have had from me is korban, meaning dedicated to God. You allow him to do nothing more for mother or father. You nullify the word of God in favor of your tradition that you have handed on, and you do many such things. The gospel of the Lord. One line particularly, I think, in our first reading from the creation story of Genesis chapter 1 that is important for us today. It is, God looked at everything he had made and found it very good. I focus on that line because given the background of Josephine Bakhita today, sold into slavery at a very, very young age, ransomed by an Italian diplomat, brought to Italy where she was given her freedom, where she joined a religious community, became a Catholic, obviously. Here's my question. In those years, 5, 6, 7 years, I think they were, of her slavery, and you can imagine what kind of slavery that really involved, how do you look at creation? How do you look at existence and say, it's very good? You know, what a tremendous challenge that would have to have been for somebody like her. And how easy it would have been then to become a person of utter anger, bitterness, resentment, desire for revenge. I mean, you go right down the line. So easy to fall into that kind of trap. And yet she was known in her religious community for being gracious, for being gentle, for being a beautiful singer. You know, just the change, maybe it wasn't a change. Maybe that's how she was from beginning to end. She was somebody who could look at her own life, even in that sorrow, even in that darkness, and be able still somehow to say, creation, all existence, my life is very good. And so I think for us, the inspiration today is to see, okay, where's my life today? And if it isn't exactly where I want it to be, or in exactly the way it wants to be, I want it to be, how can I still nevertheless look at it and see where the goodness is and be able to thank God for it and to try to build on it, to strengthen that goodness? So as we take inspiration from Josephine Bakhita today, let's ask the Lord to help us to see that beauty in creation, in our own creation, give thanks to God and glorify him through our good works with others. Let us stand and pray.